All right, let's talk about it. If you're watching this, I'm guessing you just got a grade back that you're not happy with. And yeah, that feeling is awful. I totally get it. All that stress and disappointment. Maybe you're even worried about what your parents or friends will think. It's a heavy weight to carry, but you're in the right place. We're gonna figure this out. And honestly, this is the very first thing you really need to hear. Right now, it probably feels like the end of the world. And those feelings are 100% valid. But just know this, grade isn't some final verdict on who you are. This happens to literally every student at some point, even the ones who look like they have it all figured out. That's the real question, isn't it? Not how to beat yourself up about what happened, but how to actually move forward. So let's walk through how to turn this pretty crummy moment into a genuine chance to learn and get better. First things first, and this is probably the most important idea we're going to talk about. We have to separate the grade on the paper from who you are as a person. They are two very, very different things. You've got to think of a grade as just one snapshot on one day on one test. It doesn't show how creative you are, or how hard you work, or how curious you are about the world. And in the long run, it's those things, your personality, your effort, that are way better predictors of success than any GPA. A grade is just a single data point. It's not the whole story. In fact, just think about this for a second. The very fact that you're here, that you're concerned enough about this grade to seek out some guidance, that shows you're motivated. It shows you have high standards for yourself. And that drive is so much more important than any single number on a report card. Okay, so before we jump into making plans or analyzing what went wrong, we have to deal with the immediate emotional gut punch. You just can't think straight when you're feeling overwhelmed, so let's just take a moment to breathe. Seriously, let yourself feel it. If you're mad, be mad. If you're sad, be sad. Trying to just shove those feelings down and pretend you're fine, man, that never works. It just makes things worse later. Sometimes the best thing you can do is just vent to a friend and get it all out. And it is so, so easy to start beating yourself up, right? To let that little voice in your head say, this grade means you're not smart enough. But that's a trap. It just starts this downward spiral where your confidence takes a hit, and then that affects how you do next time. Your job right now is to learn from this, not to punish yourself for it. Staring at that test or that grade while you're feeling all this emotion is just going to make the problem feel 10 times bigger than it actually is. So do yourself a favor, put it away. For real, go for a walk, blast your favorite music, talk to your friends about literally anything else. Give your brain a break, and then you can come back to it with a much clearer head. Okay, so once you've had a little space and that initial sting has started to fade, it's time to switch gears. Time to put on our detective hats. Let's figure out what actually happened, not with judgment, but with real curiosity. So let's run through some of the usual suspects here. And as I go through them, just see if anything clicks for you. Did you genuinely not get the material? Were your old study habits just not cutting it for this class? Were you completely stressed out or juggling too many things? Be real with yourself here, okay? Because figuring out the real problem is the only way to find the right solution. Now let's zoom in on a really common trap, passive learning. This is when you just reread your notes over and over, or maybe highlight half the textbook. It feels like you're studying, right? But it often just tricks you into thinking you know the material because it looks familiar. It doesn't actually build the strong connections in your brain that you need to remember stuff under pressure. All right, you've processed the feelings, you've investigated the cause. Now for the good part. Let's build your comeback plan. This is where we take action and figure out how to come back from this even stronger than before. The name of the game here is to study smarter, not just longer. So instead of just rereading, try active recall, actually quizzing yourself. Instead of cramming the night before, use spaced repetition, studying a little bit over several days. And a huge one, try to explain a concept out loud to yourself. If you can't, you don't really know it yet. And please, remember that asking your teacher for help is not a weakness, it's a power move. Think about it like this. Cramming is like trying to sprint a marathon. Sure, you get a quick burst, but you're going to burn out and it won't last. Spaced repetition, on the other hand, is like steady training. It builds that mental endurance, so the information is actually there when you need it for the final and even for future classes. A lot of the time, feeling overwhelmed is really about not managing our time well. This tool is amazing for that. See, most of us live in that top left box, urgent and important. It's constant firefighting, last-minute deadlines. It's pure stress. The secret to a less stressful life is to spend more time in the top right, important but not urgent. That's where you plan ahead, you study in advance, and you actually stay in control. A vague goal, like, I'll try to do better, just doesn't work, does it? You need a real target. Using the SMART framework turns that fuzzy wish into an actual plan. I'm going to raise my grade from a D to a C+. That's specific. By getting a 75% on the next test, that's measurable. Suddenly, you have a clear path to follow. Okay, we've covered the feelings, we've covered the practical strategies. Now for the final and maybe the most powerful piece of this whole puzzle, your mindset. This can change absolutely everything. This is the key idea right here. A fixed mindset is that little voice that says, I got a bad grade because I'm just bad at math. But a growth mindset says, I got a bad grade, which means I need to find a better way to learn this math. It's the difference between thinking you're stuck and believing you can grow. This is how you put it into practice. A bad grade stops being a judgment on you and becomes data. It's feedback. It's a roadmap that's literally showing you what to work on. Just making that tiny shift in your head from asking what's wrong with me to what can I learn from this, that is the single biggest game changer. Look, nobody, and I mean nobody, gets through life without getting knocked down sometimes. Learning how to pick yourself up, figure out what went wrong, and come back stronger, that is one of the most important skills you will ever learn. This grade, this is your chance to practice that skill. It's resilience training. So this moment right now, this feeling, it's not the end of the story. It's just the start of a new chapter. This grade doesn't define you, but how you choose to respond to it, that will. You've got the tools, you've got the mindset. So the only real question left is, what's your comeback story going to be?